Welcome back to another episode of the City Speak podcast. As we enter NLC's second century of service to America's cities, towns, and villages, in today's episode, we are sharing a conversation about the past, present, and history of this organization with a small group of NLC's past presidents, which took place on the main stage at our 2024 City Summit in Tampa, Florida. So please enjoy this look back into NLC history, moderated by NLC board member and council member from Columbia, South Carolina, Aditi Bustles, alongside former executive director of the Massachusetts Municipal Association, Jeff Beckwith, former mayor Karen Freeman Wilson of Gary, Indiana, former mayor Mark Stodola of Little Rock, Arkansas. Enjoy the conversation.
Hello, NLC. You are a beautiful crowd. We're so excited to be here with you today. Special thank you to Clarence and the team for putting together such a beautiful event. I am very excited to be representing the millennials in the crowd as we look forward to the next 100 years of NLC. We're going to learn from some of the experts today, those who have been there before us, those that have paved the way, to really help us understand the best ways that we can represent our cities, towns, and villages. So we will go ahead and jump right in. What we're going to do is we'll start by asking questions to each of the panelists, and then we're going to do a rapid fire, which means that you get just a sentence or a tweet to respond to our questions. Cool. I will start with you, Mark. One of the things that we've talked a lot about through this anniversary celebration is that even though there are a lot of unique challenges that are facing local leaders today, many of the core issues, such as infrastructure, housing, they still remain. Tell us a little bit about how you found that to be true in your work as mayor.
Well, thank you very much for asking that question. You know, I think the recent elections kind of have proven that it's about the economy. It's about jobs. It's about job growth. It's about the technology, the new technology of growth relative to the future of work. And certainly we see that every day in our communities. And of course, the basics really haven't changed. Public safety, clean water, effective sewer systems, streets, infrastructure, you know, getting the potholes fixed, making sure people can get to work and get their kids to school. All of those things are still always the same. And of course, you know, as we know as city council people and as mayors, this is where the action is. It's not necessarily at the state legislature. It's not even necessarily in Congress, as we know. Inaction has been a lot of the bottom line in some of those houses. It's in the city councils and it's in our neighborhoods. And so, you know, fixing our neighborhoods, rebuilding the inner core, making sure that our kids have a safe place to go to school. Those are the issues of today, and those have been the issues all the way through since really cities were ever incorporated.
Thank you for that. And I think one of the themes that I've heard in having conversations with you all backstage as well is that cities can really be the incubator of ideas and help pave the way on the national level. And that actually leads me to my next question to Karen. You held a leadership role leading up to the 2020 pandemic. Cities were definitely in the spotlight during that time, and you were the spokesperson for cities, towns, and villages, whether it was doing the important work of lobbying, whether it was, you know, doing the press hits, the media hits. Can you tell me a little bit about how cities have had an impact on our national climate and the trajectory of our nation at that time?
Well, what I will tell you, and it's always good to be home, so I have to say that. But what I will tell you is that cities have a unique way of working together. And there was no more important time to do that than during the pandemic. And so you saw mayors and council members and village leaders having conference calls and having meetings so that they could learn from each other, so that they could adapt each other's measures that were being used to save lives during that critical time. And that's something that not only dealt with the specific health risk of the pandemic, but it also dealt with learning, because schools had to pivot. And of course, some mayors are responsible for education, some aren't. But even with that, you had to take responsibility and help school leaders to come up with viable solutions for families.
Yeah, and I think that collaboration has continued to be key even as we're dealing with a new world post-pandemic in terms of some of that regional cooperation and understanding the impact that it's had both on our economy but our education and well-being of children and families as well. Thank you for that. Next question to Jeff. You worked with the Massachusetts Municipal Association for 31 years. One of the things that you wrote about and talked a lot about was this idea of seeing local government as a movement. Tell us what you mean by that, and why do you think that's so important given everything that we have been able to get done and want to do today?
Well, thank you for that question. It's wonderful to be back after a short period of time, having retired a year ago. A movement is really a collection, a series of coordinated events that complement each other in order to achieve an end. So organized activities. And if you take a look at a movement, then from that perspective, local government, of course, is a movement. Because for 100 years, local officials, primarily volunteers and increasingly professionals that have worked in towns and cities, have worked to build vibrant communities and hometowns that are safe, that allow individuals and families to thrive and achieve the American dream and pursue opportunity. The thousands of people here at this conference were matched by thousands of people 100 years ago who were doing the very same thing, only with different tools. And so one thing that's constant is local government leaders trying to move their communities forward, trying to build a better future. Well, 100 years ago, only 5% of homes had a radio.
Wow.
No homes had TV. It hadn't been invented yet.
Wow.
Only half of our households had electricity. And so you take a look at where we are today, where the computer was just science fiction, if science fiction even existed 100 years ago, whereas now every single person has more computer power in their pockets than existed on the entire planet back 100 years ago. And why is that possible? Well, because local governments, especially in America, have built the infrastructure, the platform that allows communities and technology and society and our economy to move forward. Our economy has increased by 2,700% after inflation over the course of the past 100 years. Our productivity increased 900%. Why? Because local government leaders built 4 million miles of local roads, built and buried 7.5 million miles of water, wastewater, and stormwater pipes. Because you all and your predecessors laid underground or permitted underground 20 million miles of conduits for electricity and utilities, and permitted and allowed 200 million miles of wires, all that made it possible for us to enter the information age and be universally connected. So that movement of local government, you and your predecessors have all been moving us forward. I can think of no other way to describe local government as a movement. It's been hidden in plain sight in front of us, but local government is fundamentally responsible for the progress that America has made, which has made history throughout the world.
If that isn't inspiring, I don't know what is. You know, one of the things that I often say when talking to constituents in Columbia is there's a magic to local government, especially right now, as you heard from our president and our CEO. We are in a time that there is divisiveness. Our neighbors aren't talking to each other. But the magic that we as local leaders can bring because of the progress that's been made prior to us and the progress that will be made by us working together to fix things that affect people's everyday lives, that to me is the hope and the bright spot, that regardless of what's happening in DC, we can continue to make a difference in our communities. So we'll move into a little bit of a rapid fire, and we can maybe start with you this time. You all have held leadership roles at NLC. What is one valuable lesson that you've learned working with cities, towns, and villages that you've been thinking about at the start of this conference?
I think part of the magic of NLC and part of the magic of local government is that we're nonpartisan. That we all come with a common purpose, and we see in each other, regardless of where we are on the political spectrum, the same goals and the same ideals to build better and stronger hometowns. And so in that process, we have, I think, been able to break through a lot of the polarization. Some of it exists, and there's increased division out there now compared to just 10 years ago. But if you take a look at what local government can teach America, it's that if we dial it down, if we focus not on party, but on community and on people, we can really come together. And NLC has built a wonderful home for all of you in order to help celebrate and move that forward.
I would say it's family. It's just like family. And that it is cities, towns, and villages. Towns from as small as 500 people all the way up to New York City. And that matters because you get all of these perspectives, but you also get all of these solutions in terms of problem solving. And so we listen to each other because we are family, and we come up with really, really great solutions for the citizens that we serve, because at the end of the day, we are here because of the people.
I love that.
Well, let me just say, I think that my tenure with the National League of Cities started a long time ago, but as president of the NLC, I think the issue of collaboration, the issue of friendships, and learning from each other. I mean, not all of us have all the ideas, even though sometimes we think we do. But when we go back home, having stolen the ideas from everybody that we met, we sound really brilliant, don't we? Okay, so I really think that that's that, and of course the tremendous staff that we have at the National League of Cities, true experts in their field, the ability to advocate at Congress on all of the issues that are very important to local government. Those are really the things that I think you come away with. And I encourage all the people in my town to really try to make an effort to come to the National League of Cities meetings, because I think they learn so much more than they think that they already think they know a lot, but they will learn a lot more if they come. So.
I love that. It feels like there's always a playbook for when you're running for office, but there's no playbook for being a good council person or townsperson. And I think NLC has really provided us with that community. And one thing I want to emphasize that all three of our panelists said was the power of relationships and friendships. When I came onto City Council in Columbia and I came to this conference, I didn't know anyone. And now I have group chats going with a lot of councilors in other cities, really exchanging ideas, because oftentimes we can identify the problem, but we're having a hard time figuring out the solution. And I think that that's really where our community and our family here in NLC can be beneficial. All right, last question. If you didn't know, it's NLC's 100th birthday. And as we're thinking about the future, I want to know what excites you the most about the future of cities as we head into the next 100 years of NLC. And Karen, we'll start with you.
What excites me most about cities is that city leaders are at our core problem solvers. And we know that we have a lot of challenges that we're facing as a nation, but at the city level, at the town level, at the village level, we don't have the luxury of getting caught up in partisan conflict. We're problem solvers, so that makes me excited about the future.
I love that. Art?
Well, I'll tell you what excites me is the fact that these issues are going to continue, but we have the ability to use technology to determine how we can deal with the challenges that we have today, whether it be in housing, whether it be in public safety. Obviously, the technology that we're using now, the advancement that we have with our law enforcement agencies in terms of learning how to deal with people that have mental illness on the streets. These are some things that we uniquely have the opportunity to develop and change as our cities continue to grow. And I think that's I think that what's going to happen in the next 100 years, and that's going to be how we, on the local level, can actually solve some of those problems.
Of course, there's the old saying that history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme with the future. And if we take a look at the last 100 years, we see this story of local officials and cities and towns helping to move America forward and create a more complex environment that's professionalized and modernized and diversified. And so we have no idea what America or what this world is going to look like in 100 years. No idea at all. But I think, can be excited about knowing that you and hundreds of thousands of your successors will be, during that 100 years, working to make sure that the progress that we achieve is more equitable and benefits more people than ever before. And I think we can be optimistic about that.
I love that. Optimism is the only way forward, I think. Well, what an amazing conversation we had today. I wish we had more time, but I think that they'd play the Oscars music and get us off the stage if we kept talking. But I could not think of a better roster of panelists. I know I've learned a lot from them in the time that I've got to spend with them for this panel. Thank you for your time, your knowledge, and most importantly, your dedication to NLC. It's no easy feat to be in a leadership position. I know that you have really helped pave the way for young leaders like myself to be able to make the most of our experience here. So please join me in giving a hand to our esteemed panelists. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for listening to City Speak with Clarence Anthony. If you like this show, let us know. Share this episode with your friends and make sure to subscribe. We're curious to hear what you think, what you want more of, and how we can improve. If you have feedback or an idea for a guest you'd like Clarence to sit down with, send us your thoughts at cityspeakpodcast@nlc.org. Join us next month for a new episode. Like and subscribe here or wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time.